Hi, I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio.
where we visit an experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
Also known as Every Person Comes Out Tired.
So I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that from the a Disney bus driver told us that joke when I was a child.
Yeah, it's on Guardians now, but it's been around.
Right. It's one of those, if you've been coming to Disney for some time, I think I've heard it as long as I've been coming to EPCOT.
Yeah, it's like slapstick humor.
Yeah.
Do you know what EPCOT stands for?
I'll tell you what it stands for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to give kids a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
To trick children. That's the ultimate fun.
Yeah.
Anyway,
today we're talking about EPCOT.
Yeah, we're doing EPCOT stuff.
But not just EPCOT as a whole.
No, that's too much.
It's too much. We gotta break it down into 6 pieces. I mean, no, we're just doing 2.
Yeah, back when it was 2 halves of one big beautiful EPCOT. Now it is a bunch of different pieces, but back when it was Future World and the World Showcase, that was easier for us.
Yeah, and still what I think of. I wonder if that'll ever change.
Well, it's not even open yet. The front half, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know, but I wonder if I'm ever going to stop thinking of the front half as Future World. Like how I still think of Hollywood Studios as MGM.
Yeah, I still think I'll call that front half of the park Future World.
I mean, I guess you don't even refer to it that much. I mean, we do because it's our job and we talk about this stuff a lot.
Yeah,
but like under normal circumstances, you're just like, hey, you want to go on this ride? You want to go on this ride? You're not like, oh, let's go to this specific area.
Yeah, it's really more for like, where's the nearest bathroom in Future World?
Right, or what time does it open? Because Future World, is that still true? Future World opens at a different time than World Showcase?
I actually don't.
Because we don't do mornings, you guys.
Because we don't go in the morning. Never had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
When I've done mornings in the past, Future World would open earlier and World Showcase would open at like later.
Right.
At like later.
I remember.
I bet that's not true anymore because I'm thinking of before two of the like main big rides are back there in World Showcase.
Right.
Which before that wasn't true. There was like Maelstrom was back there, but it wasn't like a headliner like Frozen.
Yeah,
is.
I will say I do remember Frozen being open and World Showcase opening later.
Yeah.
So that was true at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
it's. I don't think it's like that now.
Remy,
I don't think it's like that now because last year when I took my family, we did do rope drop. I did it, and we rope dropped to Frozen.
Oh yeah.
There's that.
It's just probably that all the restaurants and stuff aren't open yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but it used to be that they just wouldn't open it at all.
Right. And you just couldn't go back there. But now you can just kind of walk around. For Frozen, they let us queue for Frozen early. Because people would rope drop Frozen and stuff. Well, not yeah. I'm remembering all of World Showcase being closed, but us walking back to Frozen. I don't remember what that was about.
Interesting. Was it a long time ago?
Yeah, that was like 2017 or something.
Okay,
so that was definitely a while ago.
Yeah. And now that there's Remy, it might just all open.
Anyway, that we've spent forever talking about World Showcase.
Sorry.
Sorry, everyone.
We're not talking about World Showcase.
We're not even talking about it at all. We're talking about the other half. The one with the ball. Future World. Morgan and I each picked a topic and we texted Morgan's husband and we said, this is what we're talking about today. Is it the same thing? And he said no.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear what you're talking about.
And I'm excited to hear what you're talking about.
Who's going first this week?
I think I'm going first this week.
I like when Morgan starts things off.
Oh, yeah?
Because I just get to sit and listen. And I know I still have my thing to do, but I can forget about it for a little while.
Okay.
Let it simmer.
Okay. Did you want to guess what I'm doing?
Yeah. Ooh, this is tough. There's so many there have not been so many attractions in Future World actually compared to
Yeah, I know, but there's so much
else.
history there, I think.
Yeah.
And for me, there's a lot of it was really hard for me to pick.
I would say tough choices going on. I'm gonna say you did Horizons.
Oh, okay. That's so funny because I was gonna guess that you did Horizons, but if you're guessing that I did Horizons, then that takes it off your list. So thank you. You gave me a little like
advantage.
Scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, you gave me an advantage. I did not do Horizons.
What did you do?
I did Spaceship Earth. The icon.
Wow. I considered this for a brief moment. I'm really glad one of us did it because I think one of the first things that we ever like Disney bonded about was remembering parts of Spaceship Earth that aren't there anymore.
Yes. Oh
we were working at the same job even.
Yeah.
And while we were cleaning up for the day,
yeah,
we were looking on YouTube to be like, oh, remember this part where this is now?
Yeah.
And stuff. So this is kind of like a full circle. Our spacecraft is preparing for a return to Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun one.
Please remain seated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun one. I'm glad that I chose it. There's a lot of fun facts. Yeah, you're right. It was an original conversation for us.
Right. All right, Morgan. Tell us about Spaceship Earth.
Okay. All right. Oh man, there's so much information that it's going to be hard for me to like stay focused. So bear with me.
I'm sure it will be grand and miraculous.
Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, so this was an opening day EPCOT attraction, and I would call this obviously the icon of EPCOT. The other two parks that aren't Magic Kingdom have I guess there's no question about Animal Kingdom either. So never mind. This is definitely it for EPCOT.
We're talking about problem child Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
And they're constantly changing icons.
Bailey pointed out something the other day. I can't remember what it was, but she was like, oh, the icon is that sorcerer's hat on this one. And I was like, and it was something new. And I was like,
no.
Yes. It was new merch.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it was like probably trying to be vintage or whatever. And I was like, okay.
Y'all remember the sorcerer's hat from like the 2000s?
I guess they wanted that to be the icon for a while, right?
Yeah,
it went from the Earful Tower to that,
right?
To Tower of Terror.
So the Earful Tower now, yeah.
Yeah, and was never what it really probably always should have been, which was the Chinese theater.
Oh, the Chinese theater.
The consistent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I feel like even on trash cans all over Hollywood Studios, they have that emblem.
Yeah, that has
with the Chinese theater. And that is honestly what I think of when I think of.
Didn't I put that on a hand towel for you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you sure did.
We loved Great Movie Ride. I am so off topic. Sorry, you guys.
No,
we
okay.
do this.
I'll help rein it back in.
Okay.
I won't. I'll do my best.
So, Spaceship Earth, aka the ball, aka the golf ball, the giant golf ball, is the icon of EPCOT, and it's something that pilots can see from the sky, which is cool. Not the little pilots that are going around to show you EPCOT. Like if you're in a commercial plane coming from like New York or something, and you're coming down the east side,
and now that it's got lights all over it,
I've never seen it. Yeah, that's
now
cool.
It'll be easier.
But I never go up that direction, I don't think.
I thought one time you and Bailey were on a plane together, and Bailey said, we're flying over EPCOT. And you were like, no, we're not. And then you looked over, and you were, in fact, flying over EPCOT.
Maybe you're right.
I feel like I just have the vaguest
I have a little bit of issue with heights, so, like, I'm not real big on looking out the window.
You're like, get that thing away from me.
Yeah. But anyway,
okay.
So this is, just such a big literally thing.
When you are looking at it, it does feel massive.
It does. And I'm going to jump to a fun fact that I know a lot of you guys know, but that makes this mind blowing, right? That Spaceship Earth could fit inside the aquarium Yeah.
At the Seas Pavilion.
Isn't that mind blowing? My brain
Doesn't make any sense.
I know.
To me.
I know. My brain can't handle that. I'm
what
like
do you
trying
mean,
to.
dunk
Where
the
is
golf
it?
ball? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So anyway,
I need a diagram. Any of you followers out there got a handy?
Because when you're looking at the map, you're like
diagram.
Yeah.
No, you're looking at the map and what?
You're looking at the map and it doesn't look like there's this mile of space that is the sea. You know what I mean? Living with the sea.
Yeah, I've heard that is like one of the biggest aquariums in Florida or whatever, though. But I didn't know it could fit. I mean, I'd heard that fact before, but I can't picture it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to picture to begin with.
Big ball, got you.
I have also, although I have not fact checked this, so don't hold me to it. I've also heard that you could fit it more than once inside the Guardians building.
Yeah, I heard that when they were building the Guardians building, that you could fit multiple Spaceship Earths up in there.
Interesting. Yeah. Spaceship Earth is so ginormous to me in my head that I can't imagine it fitting in anything.
Same.
But anyway, it took 26 months to build, which I found very interesting. That's including the ride and everything.
It feels short, right?
It feels short. Because when we were going to get an upgrade or refurbishment or whatever you would call it, that we were supposed to get starting in 2021, right? That was supposed to take over 2 years. Right. And I'm like, but all they were planning to do was change a few things inside.
They built the ball, built the track.
Yeah. Everything, literally everything.
Everything. How many weeks?
26 months. So a little over 2 years. So I'm saying it's about the same, but not in the grand scheme. It's just surprising.
That is surprising. Maybe it's because they have to be careful with how old and rickety it is now.
I hope not.
They can't knock anything over.
Oh, God.
Or it'll explode into a cloud of ashes.
Wow.
Well, because it's old.
Yeah.
They were doing over for. Are you going to get into what happened to that one boy's face?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I don't know when it happened, though. So you have to look
what happened to him. They weren't careful with him. Or something, I think. Okay.
But I don't know when it happened. Do you want me to just say now?
No, I'm sorry. I will stop derailing.
No, I don't mind being derailed.
Okay.
I mind the ride being derailed.
That would not be good. That would not be
good. So anyway, just talking about the design, it's actually 2 spheres. One is the ride, and it's encased, I guess you would say. And then there's the shell that goes around it. 2 totally separate things. There are all of the triangles on it that give it its like classic pattern that we love. And I always assumed that those triangles were all equal shape and size all over, but they're actually not.
Really?
Yeah, interesting. I guess
I don't know how a geodesic sphere, I don't know the math behind that. So that's cool.
The amount of engineering and got to be like scientific technology, especially for the 80s that went into this, is mind-blowing.
I can only imagine.
Yeah,
very EPCOT of them.
Yeah, yes, I love it. Yes. It's shocking. You know what I mean? There were things considered for this building. Wild. That
it is.
That I feel like they don't consider now in some ways. This isn't one of them because this is specific to the sphere, but like when you walk under the ball, if it were raining and they didn't have this very intricate water drainage system in place, then the water would hit the top of the ball and go around and then just pour off the bottom and like soak everybody.
Right.
But so they had to put in this very intricate drainage system that involves 1 foot like spaces in between the triangles that absorb and reroute the water and then take it down underneath the ground and then dump it out way back in the World Showcase Lagoon.
Really?
Which is not steps away.
No.
When I first read this, my brain was like, Oh, the fountain. I was thinking, because it's right, that was right there. And then I was like, but that's not
Yeah.
there anymore. So then where is it going? And then I looked back at it again and I was like, World Showcase Lagoon.
Yeah.
That's a 10-minute walk
Yeah.
from the ball. Yeah.
I always imagined that water was going into like the imagination fountain or something close by.
Yeah. But I guess if you think about
That's not even
the
that close
storms
by.
that we have, especially during like hurricanes, it could be a lot. So
Yeah.
it's going to the
Oh,
lagoon.
in Florida, it's gonna rain.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
we do one thing over here, it is rain.
Yeah. So very impressive building technology right there.
Totally.
In addition to that, the outer skin is made of aluminum plastic alloy compound, and it's called alucobond, which I don't know. They should use this on every. I don't know. It is self-cleaning.
It looks a little dirty to me lately.
Well, I mean, I don't know how self-cleaning something can be,
Yeah,
but they call it self. I don't know. I don't know what I mean.
Interesting.
It's science.
Haven't you heard?
Self-cleaning and extreme weather resistant, so it can put up with our hurricanes, and the sun is a constant issue that they're having to and heat that they're having to battle here. So
right.
To think of that in the early 80s is pretty, I mean, they're just very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I love that there's so much technical thought put into, something that's supposed to represent technological achievement, the best of humanity.
Yeah.
And the style of like a World's Fair. It makes sense that that Spaceship Earth is that futuristically built. I love it.
I'm so impressed with how much thought was and tech was put into this. And we were reading, listening to Disney War. I don't think there's an S. And they were talking about how Michael Eisner wanted like buildings shaped like Mickey, like straddling a street. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah, that's what he wanted. And was trying to find architects to do stuff like that. I feel like we've really gone away from. Maybe I'm wrong though. I'm just trying to think of like some of the newer stuff. Nothing's like this monumentally.
Oh, like Spaceship Earth?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot of details when it comes to the tree at Animal Kingdom.
Well, sure, but I definitely think that I think Spaceship Earth has its reference points with other like geodesic spheres throughout history. Some of them being at World's Fairs and stuff.
Right.
But I don't.
And this is the largest still in the world.
Really? Wow.
But I mean, who else is building a giant ball?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of really interesting, beautiful buildings being built all over the world. So I guess it is kind of a little bit surprising to me that something from the 80s is still the biggest of its kind. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world famous architect Buckminster Fuller. I wonder if that's. I'm gonna have to check that. I wonder if that is. No, I think that's right. Anyway, is the one that did all of this like architecture stuff. And then author Ray Bradbury, who is known for Fahrenheit 451, is the one who decided that the ride would take you through history.
Amazing.
Humankind's history. Yeah, amazing. It's 180 feet tall. There's a lot of other like stuff that I was reading about, like how tall a person would need to be to hit it if it were a golf ball. That's like one of those things that comes up in trivia. It's 1.5 miles, you guys. 1.5 miles tall. The Smithsonian Institute.
I would have to be 1.5 miles tall to hit Spaceship Earth
like
a golf
to
ball.
Be a golfer, like proportionately.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I actually thought it would be taller.
Well, 1.5 miles straight up is.
Yeah. A lot. I know, but I'm saying I think that Disney also, I don't think it's forced perspective for this, but I also think Disney does a good job of like, first of all, there are no tall buildings around Spaceship Earth. Yeah. So immediately it looks taller. Right. And also I remember for a long time in the 2000s into the 2010s, there were the Leave a Legacy monument
Uh-huh.
stone things.
Yeah.
That preceded your walk up to Spaceship Earth, and I remember they were framed to make Spaceship Earth look big.
Really?
They were
Oh,
like
yeah, they
on
were like that.
slants
Yeah,
and
I just
stuff.
thought that was cool
Right.
looking.
I think,
And that's probably why the Guardians building, they went to such lengths to paint it in a color that disappears.
right, because it would really throw off the grandeur of it all,
Mhm.
perhaps. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. The Smithsonian Institute was consulted to ensure historical accuracy in all of the little like scenes that you go through. And I'm gonna
Cool.
go into the details, some of the details about the historical accuracy a little bit later. It's fascinating how, of course, Disney and their details, but like,
Right.
it's really fascinating how much uh, how much thought they put into literally everything. I mean, I
Right.
guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I am every time. You
Well,
know?
it's-
I'm not surprised. I'm just impressed, I guess.
When you find out some of the details, it's like, wow.
Yeah, wow. God, I never would have even thought. There have been 4 narrators for the ride over the years, and a thing that I find almost funny in a what the heck is going on here way is that there is a lot of controversy about who the first one was.
Controversy.
Yes. And I'm like, this was the early 80s,
No.
guys. We're not talking about 200 years ago. Go ask this person.
How could
You know
there
what I
be
mean? Or if they're not
controversy?
around anymore, ask their kid.
Tell me the controversy. I need to know.
If you Google who was the first narrator of Spaceship Earth, there are 2 different answers that come up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Conflicting information.
Conflicting information. And part of the issue, from what I can understand, is that it was like known that the original narrator was Vic Perrin, and then Marty Sklar, who is a like absolutely Disney famous Imagineer, went on record saying that's not accurate. It was actually Lawrence Dobkin, and everybody believes him because he is so like he's who you believe.
He's first-hand information.
He's like, yeah, one of the like top like Disney everything.
Right.
But in fact, what he said was wrong.
Oh no.
And I think that that's what's confirmed now, that it was in fact Vic Perrin.
Interesting.
Yeah. After like going through it, I was like still not 100% sure I've got the right person.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Well, rest assured, it was one of those people.
It was one of these 2 guys. I'm at this point like 98% sure it was Vic Perrin.
Who do we know that was around
in the early 80s? But would they know?
Well, we'd have to find a clip of both.
Yeah.
And then we'd say, I hope you have the best memory in history to remember which one.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's fascinating. After that, it was Walter Cronkite, and then Jeremy Irons, and then Dame Judi Dench is who it is now.
The one I primarily remember from growing up is the Jeremy Irons one.
Same, right? So for our particular age group, although we're not the same age, it's
close enough.
It's Jeremy Irons and Judi Dench who are like the standout. I don't have any memory of Walter Cronkite.
I don't think I do either.
You definitely don't. He was done before you were born.
I don't think I do.
So anyway, those are the 4. I'm sure we would have gotten a new one if they had done that refurbishment, but it's like on an indefinite pause, so who knows?
Any wish list celebrities that you would like to get to narrate?
Ooh, interesting. I'd have to think about it.
We'll come back around. I'll remind you.
Okay.
Just kidding. You don't have time to think. You have to do it.
I have to keep going. Okay.
Bit on Spaceship Earth. Morgan Freeman.
Well, I was just about to say Morgan Freeman would probably be good. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, I don't know why this is down here and not in my design notes, but it weighs 16 million pounds. Just to throw that out.
Oh, the ball?
The ball. So after the narration, I will tell you about the sponsorship. It was originally sponsored by Bell System, and then AT&T, which was, I think AT&T was bought by Bell I think Bell was bought by AT&T.
Right.
I don't know if I said that right the first time. And then Siemens, but there was an absence in between AT&T and Siemens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so no sponsor in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And there is a VIP lounge that is operated by the pavilion sponsor, and it's above the post-show area.
Mm-hmm.
Were you aware?
I'm aware that now it's that room with the windows in the back.
Oh.
And I am aware now that that is used as private event space.
That's what it was used for then.
Right.
Okay. The guests of the sponsor could relax in the lounge.
Best part of EPCOT, I think, for us later is that all of these pavilions with sponsors got these cool built-in swanky corporate lounges. Some of them are really interesting.
Yeah, I heard at one point that they let teachers up there. Maybe it was like just a special event kind of situation.
Yeah, that's one of the spaces in Epcot where they could go.
Yeah.
And there's each of the original pavilions has one of those cool swanky.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Lounges,
I was unaware of that. I guess because I've never been invited.
yeah, me neither. But some of them are interesting. The Horizons one had a camera on top of it so that you could like spy on guests in the park. I guess not spy, but like people watch through the camera. Yeah.
All right. That sparkly sign that you may remember, that some of you may remember, that was added for the Millennium, that had 2000. There was a hand, and then it was later changed to Epcot. You said they were selling pieces of it at one point, right?
That's what I remember hearing.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't. Do you have an opinion about that? About the design choice? So, it was controversial.
Well,
that's how you said it. That's like your memory of it, right? Your like core memory of the ball.
Oh yeah, definitely. When I was a kid, I was definitely a 2000s Epcot kid. I remember the Millennium Celebration fairly well because it went on for so long. But it's controversial to put a big 2000 and a Sorcerer Mickey hand and a wand on the Epcot ball because it's a feat of engineering and represents the future, and that was really tacky. But I really liked it.
It's like the birthday cake castle, I think. I think it's the same.
Just like that. Yeah, I've never thought about them as the same, but it's exactly the same thing.
In like a nostalgic way, you're like, oh, that was cute. Maybe, or you might hate it. I've come across people that hated that birthday cake castle. I think in retrospect, well, at the time I was very young, so I thought it was great. But in retrospect, I'm like, oh, what a fun like piece of Disney history.
I think my verdict on the Epcot one is I liked the 2000 in the hand, but I don't think they should have let it just sit up there saying Epcot for so long.
I think now, that we're...
It doesn't need a sign that says Epcot on top of it.
Yeah, I wonder if now that we're adults, if this kind of thing happened again, if we would be like, if we'd be like, that's the tackiest thing ever. What is wrong with you?
If it were that bad...
Yeah.
Like I said, the 2000 is one thing because it's temporary. But then to just leave it up there saying Epcot for years and years and years and years, I think we would not like that.
Yeah.
So I understand why people didn't like that.
I
was too young to have an opinion.
I feel the same about the probably the birthday cake thing. Like if they did it now, I would be like, I'm sorry, what?
You've got a couple months max.
Yeah. But as a kid, I loved that birthday cake castle, and I
liked the sparkly letters up there as a kid.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, they were sparkly.
Big and colorful.
Yeah,
and Epcot was definitely a park that didn't always feel very like
fun,
whimsical, sorcerer like. So I didn't mind.
Yeah. So the original ride, the one that had probably Vic Perrin as the narrator,
likely story.
Possibly. Had a few things that were ultimately taken out. There was fog, when you were ascending, like going up at the beginning. Very cool. I think we should bring that back. That sounds fun.
Spaceship Earth could use some damn fall. I can't believe I just accidentally cussed for the first time.
I think you're okay. I don't think our average age of our audience is like 5 or anything.
The way I just gasped as if I'd given out a government secret on air.
Yeah.
I care about you guys.
Yeah. And then the space station, which I know a lot of you guys know about this, but it's just kind of mind-blowing to me that they put in at the very top where you see Earth, right? You're like, there's Earth. There's a space station with 2 astronauts on the outside, like working on it, and then an astronaut, female astronaut on the inside.
Right.
Not in a, I don't know.
She's in like the control room situation.
And all of this effort to then be like, oh, we feel like this is taking away from our projection of Earth. We're going to ditch it.
Right.
In a weird way.
So that's what happened, right? It was a show scene and then it just went away.
It was just there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was part of that Earth scene.
Right.
And then it went away because they felt like it was taking away from the view of Earth.
Wow.
I don't get that.
That's quite a reason.
Yeah. You think that there's something else that they're just not saying? I don't know. What could there be?
Well, it was so long ago, too. I never even saw it with my own eyes.
No, I know.
It was gone so long before we were even...
Yes, and if you...
The remnants are still there.
they're still there, which is so weird.
Yeah, if you turn around...
You don't even have to turn around. You just look right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the thing, but there's another thing like that where on your ascent back when you're about to go up through the part where you're going through all the string lights.
That you were going through all the string lights? Oh, now I get what you're saying. I'm picturing when it was AT&T and there were all the lights at the bottom and then it would say like brought to you by AT&T or something like that.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
But now they've got like their like blue.
Yes. But and it's also when your video thing comes up and you have to start answering questions.
Right. If you turn around, you can see some more stuff.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that or come across it. Do you know enough to talk on it?
Honestly, no. We'll have to do. I feel like we could do more on EPCOT just later on. There's so much to talk about. I think this is the main thing that. It's gone.
This is the main thing for sure. And so they had the 2 astronauts. Those 2 astronauts that were working on it were relocated to Space Mountain. And now when you are doing that ascent in Space Mountain in Magic Kingdom and you see the 2 astronauts, that's them.
I cannot believe that didn't open with Space Mountain. There was just no astronauts there before.
Right?
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. Especially with how like many animatronics they were kind of throwing everywhere, like they were getting a group discount. I get that.
It's true
that they were like budgeting in a way like for this wasn't something I was going to mention now, but it's totally fine. Like for a lot of the animatronics in Spaceship Earth, they used the models that were used for the Hall of Presidents. So some of them are very obviously presidents, but I never noticed. Did you?
No, I love when Disney does this.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. It's fun. Anyway, the 2 astronauts that were there are now in Space Mountain, and everything else was just black paint over it. Even the astronaut that's inside, she's still there, but there's black paint over the whole outside of things, so you can't see her.
That is...
I mean, as far as we know, she's still there.
That's criminal.
It's
at the least, they should just move that somewhere else.
I think the space station thing sounds more interesting than... It's projection, right? Earth there? It's just a projection, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more interested by the space station with the animatronics than I am by a projection of Earth.
I think that scene could use more things to look at.
I do too.
I think they made the wrong call back in 1980, whatever.
Yeah, it was pretty early on because the changes, that were made in 86. Right. 4 years after it opened. Crazy. So anyway, the fog was taken out after the first... So anytime the narration switched, things changed too.
Yeah.
It was like an update.
Update
So
time.
after possibly Vic Perrin's run, we lost the fog, we lost the space station, and then there were a few background animatronic characters that were removed, probably to be used somewhere else.
Sure.
Interestingly, and I don't know if you knew this because I didn't know this, but when this ride first opened and for these first like 4 years or whatever, where at the top where you turn around, cast members were doing that by hand. It wasn't like a
What are you talking about?
I know.
What do you mean? They were rotating the ride vehicle?
Yes.
That sounds like an accident waiting to happen.
I know, and it didn't last that long. I mean, 4 years is kind of long.
I turn moving vehicles at the top of Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, I don't know if they were like
I need Tinkerbell level hazard pay.
Physically turning them, or if they pulled a lever.
Oh, sure.
I don't know. I don't know. That I didn't see anything that said exactly what they had to do, but they were being done by hand.
I'd never heard that. That's wild.
Yeah, I think that was one of the more interesting things that I learned. All right. The next version is Walter Cronkite's version. At this time, 2 scenes were added that were computer related.
Wow, that early on, huh?
Yes, but it wasn't at first when I read this, I was like, oh, that's maybe when they added that video chat thing. But it's not. This is a scene I can't picture because I don't remember this version.
Right. How did they represent computer?
There was a boy sitting at a computer. I was just reading this. I didn't actually watch like a YouTube ride through of it. I'm sure that probably exists.
Oh yeah.
I will watch it later.
Just from home video and stuff.
Yeah. I know, but difficult, with the darkness and stuff like that, especially.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm sure I can find it, and I absolutely will.
I am an EPCOT nerd, so I follow people who spend a lot of time
restoring
home video from early EPCOT and stuff.
Yeah. That's cool.
Or a lot of them are now recreating the rides from the known facts, and they're recreating it in virtual reality or whatever.
Yeah.
People are enterprising these days.
So this boy that's sitting in front of a computer, he was moved from the Gutenberg scene, and you also see a woman that's working in a paperless office, and she was moved from the network communication map area.
Okay.
So repurposing of animatronics.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a fun thing that we know that they do. Those are really the notable add-ons to Walter Cronkite's version.
All right, let's get to the good stuff.
Next is Jeremy Irons.
Hey.
I looked him up on IMDb the other day because I know him as Scar.
Same.
I thought he had done a bunch of Disney animated voices, and that's all I thought he did.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jim Cummings is like known for just being like 60 different voices.
Yeah.
And he does a ton of acting. I'm sure everybody else knows this, but I didn't even realize that I've actually seen him in a bunch of movies, but didn't know.
Oh, surprise.
Surprise.
Jeremy
you know
Irons.
who this person looks like. I just picture Scar.
Same. I honestly don't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you do.
Yeah, well, I'll pull this list up for you, and you're going to be like, oh, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
If we ever run into him in EPCOT, you need to be the one.
Yeah.
I remember your version of Spaceship Earth.
Yeah. He did something, voice something for a Disneyland ride as well, but I think it's also not around anymore. Anyway, his version debuted in 1994. The version introduced scenes that were touching upon communication for the future. So this is where that video chat thing came into play. Well before this was like a reality in our world. Right. And I worked for AT&T a long time ago, and when I was in AT&T training, they were showing videos of commercials that they put out in the 80s where they really like knew all the stuff that was coming that we have now, but we just got now, not video called, all kinds of stuff. It's wild. It's like they were psychic, but it's not, because you know what I mean?
They're just privy to
Yeah.
where
What does
technology
she
is
say?
moving.
Some technology, Judi Dench in her version.
Oh,
I can't remember. It would have worked
it's some
perfectly there.
technology we're dreaming up for you, or something
No,
like
it's
that.
that we happen to know about.
Oh, that's exactly what it
Yeah.
is.
Um,
That's proprietary. No, just kidding. What's dinosaur?
um, anyway, so, and then they talked about the World Wide Web, which in 1994, the World Wide Web was already a thing. So,
Right. They had
um,
no choice.
right. This era could have been when this fire happened. So I will go ahead and jump into it. At some point, there was a fire.
Don't jump into the fire.
There was a fire in Spaceship Earth that burned the face off of the paper boy. You know?
No.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Wait, did you not know the story?
I have heard that the story is, just like the first narrator, contentious. And that some people were saying that when he was moved or something, that's what broke his face. But the thing that I've heard the most is the fire thing. But I don't know.
Okay, well,
I don't think.
I didn't fact check that. I've heard that like forever and ever.
Oh,
So
the fire thing?
yeah,
I've heard it quite a bit too.
I'm
Fire
surprised those guys that like jump off of rides and video stuff, which you shouldn't do.
Doesn't happen anymore, really.
Yeah, but used to back in the day don't have footage of this kid.
Oh, of the child's face.
So they just moved him, turned him around so he's facing the other way so that you don't see his face. Something happened to this kid's face.
Yeah.
I have always heard it was this fire thing, so I believe it.
Do you know anything about the fire?
No.
It's
sorry.
Scary to think about a fire in an enclosed sphere.
And this happened in Pirates of the Caribbean too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
an actual fire in
yes,
there?
Yes, and worse because they've got the fake fire going, and it was that same area.
Fires at theme
This
parks?
was Disneyland.
Yeah.
And this was in like the 60s or the 50s, so
yeah.
I don't know if that makes it better. That probably makes it worse.
Fire was different back then.
People were used to it.
It was a thing. It was a thing.
Anyway,
are we going to talk about during the Jeremy Irons version, there was something I loved, which was that during
I love
scene,
his voice.
First of all, yes, I love his voice. But when you're in Rome, they added a projection to the scrim where it like animated horse travel to show the routes.
I loved that. And now it's gone.
And they just kind of turned it off.
Why? It was a projection.
For the Judi Dench version, yeah.
Yeah, that was something that I really, really liked. It was such a
like
small thing that it didn't really make the like things that were added, you know what I mean? But I really liked that.
Well, honestly, it was one of the things that I looked forward to seeing in the ride as a kid, so that's probably why I remember it.
Yeah, I remember it too. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
And then, I mean, we've already talked about the Skype. Have you talked about what we call like the Emerald City part of this?
No, so that was at the end of this. And yeah, it was like, this is part of the decent return to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And you would see this gorgeous glittering city. Yeah, that we would say the Emerald City. And then there were lights. And there was
represented like the communication of from one computer to the other.
And I'm guessing that the reason that was taken away, even though that was one of my favorite parts too, because it was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. The lights, the glittery kind of nature of it, gorgeous.
Really?
Is because that aspect of it had a lot to do with AT&T. AT&T is a communications company. I'm sorry. Have we ever figured out what Siemens actually does?
I think we actually looked it up at one
point. I do too.
I just remember.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's the same as AT&T, obviously. So things kind of changed. Sometimes when sponsorship changes, they've got to change what aspects of a ride. That was one of my favorite parts. I loved on that descent of the Jeremy Irons version, you would see like kids in virtual school, basically, which is so normal now, but back then it wasn't.
Right.
There were news scenes that you were seeing on TVs from all these different languages and stuff like that. So that all gets taken away after the Jeremy Irons version. And
Mm,
for me, that's a big to the detriment of the ride situation.
right.
That's what you think too, right? I
Um,
wonder if there's anybody that's like, oh yeah, we really got a big upgrade with this video.
yeah, I just feel like they turned stuff off.
Yeah,
Turned stuff
and
off,
then turned
covered
on these
stuff
video
up.
things. Maybe it seemed cool at the beginning. I don't remember that you were like picking your stuff and they're showing you a video that's got your face in it. But
It
to
was at
me,
the
it's
height of things like Jib Jab. Do you remember that?
no.
It was like these early internet things where you could take your picture and it would automatically splice it into a pre-generated video,
Yeah,
and then you would send it as an email or
right.
whatever. And I feel like this was an incorporation of that technology, but it became outdated so
And it doesn't
quickly.
work. And if it doesn't work now, did it work then? Like I realize that occasionally it works, but most of the time it doesn't work. Your face is all messed up or
Chops part of your face off.
yeah, it's wild.
In case
And
anyone,
I even do what you're supposed to do. I look at the camera, I get still and I still they mess up, you know?
yeah, that's a bummer. It that happens to me. It hardly ever gets my face right. In case anyone was curious, Siemens is a technology conglomerate that works in fields from infrastructure to cybersecurity.
Okay. So I think that since they're not
Specifically focused on
yeah,
telecommunication
yeah,
and
that
stuff
that's
like that.
probably why and I understand conceptually thinking that doing something interactive, which is what they did with the video thing
Hmm.
on the returning to Earth part, that conceptually that might be fun, but it's not. I don't want to look at a screen when I could be looking at beautiful things around me,
It just certainly doesn't
and it doesn't
justify the
work.
fact that there used to be spaces of the ride where there were like practical show scenes, and now
Mm,
there's nothing.
a lot.
So that you can look at
They
the
took out a
screen.
lot of stuff so that you can look at a screen and like, yeah, I don't I, it would make more sense to me if they put the screen stuff in the the part after the ride, the after ride. What's that area? Project Tomorrow.
Yeah,
And they basically do. You know what I mean? They do have stuff like that there. That's where it belongs, in my opinion.
I
If I'm
agree.
on a ride, I want to be on a ride, not looking at a screen right in front of me that's not even working most of the time. To me, big downgrade. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
anyway,
I unfortunately have to agree. I always prefer the practical stuff. And I think that even when the new movies are when the screen things, I shouldn't call them new. Even when the screen things work like they're supposed to work, I just don't think it's like an overwhelmingly awesome experience either way.
yeah. Oh, I don't either, especially after you've done it a few times, which
Right.
is really unfortunate because I think that if you are doing the things with the animatronics and stuff like that, like what it used to be, that is still a beautiful experience even
Mm,
after you've done it.
right.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining this very well.
No, I get it. You can like marvel at all of the creativity and the wonder of that thing over and over again. But with like a pre-generated movie thing, you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
I it's like I'm on a
move to
really
trash.
bad app. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And especially now that we all have this, we have much better technology literally in our pocket.
I would never light my face like that or chop
Yeah,
it up into 15
yeah,
pieces.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, in 2000, moving on. In 2008, Judy Dench's version opened up.
here comes Judy.
A few good things that came from this is, I mean, I like the way she sounds too, but for the first time the ride, the audio had multiple languages. So
Oh,
yeah, if you know at the beginning you pick English, you could pick a different language and then you'd hear everything in a different language and it's playing right behind you.
that's cool.
So that is very cool, very inclusive, and I really like that. I had no idea. How did I not know? They were asking us our language. I guess I assumed in the back of my head somewhere that they're asking for when you're doing the interactive stuff on that screen later.
That's what I've assumed until this exact moment.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know that changed.
We should hit a different
onboard,
language next time.
But then we're stuck with it the whole ride.
Do you think it's still Judi Dench? Do you think she knows multiple languages?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
it would be
you're probably right.
hilarious to hear her try though.
Oh, okay.
Try multiple languages.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how many they do have, but it's a very cool addition.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
That is very impressive.
That's probably the future of everything.
Every ride will eventually have that technology.
Yeah. So there were some rewrites and changes to the whole story, and it did take away. This is when they took away some of the communications aspect. New scenes included the one with the computers, where the computer was the size of a room.
Right, the big
70s
original computer room.
Yes, and
computer
then
lab.
Yeah, and then the garage. Anyway.
Right, and the garage is supposed to be a composite of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Isn't it supposed to be like?
Yeah, I've heard
whoever we're giving credit to for popularizing the personal computer.
She in her what she's saying, she makes it sound like it's a specific person.
Yeah, but they don't ever say a name, I think, because they want to stay out of giving one person credit for that as a blanket, you know what I mean? Yeah. But she says in a garage in California.
Yeah. Well, they give that's what I'm saying. It sounds very specific without naming a name.
All of them had a garage in California, though, so I think that's the vibe.
All right.
Yeah. What do you think about that as a way to represent the computer? I don't know. I think it's fine. I like do you like the Matrix tunnel?
I think that there could be more.
A little boring, I think.
A little boring.
Especially if that's the thing you see right before you turn the corner to Earth. Yeah, it would be cool if it did something more interesting in there.
Yeah, this is all why I liked the Jeremy Irons version the best. I liked there were more big splashy scenes, there were more animatronics, there was more glitter.
Yeah.
I just that's my preferred one.
You didn't watch a 5-minute video at the end.
God, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not my favorite. Okay. I'm just going to circle back to the details.
Okay.
Real quick, I'm going to give a few examples because it's just so in depth.
Yeah.
And then we should go to your thing.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, like in the Roman scene, there's graffiti that's found on the ruins of Pompeii, and that's an actual duplicate.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've always heard there's a hidden Mickey in the Egypt.
In the hieroglyphs. Yeah.
I've never been able to find it.
And I've heard that too, but there was definitely a hidden like scene in the hieroglyphics in the Great Movie Ride in the Indiana Jones part.
Now that I remember.
Which makes me wonder if this got mixed up. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
But maybe not.
I've
never seen it either, and I do look every time.
Me too. How have we both never seen?
That's what I'm saying.
We look every time, and we've done it together. We've at least been on Spaceship Earth together a handful of times.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the hieroglyphics.
This is a conspiracy.
The hieroglyphs is another part where they made sure that this is an actual replica of the hieroglyphics that you would find in Egypt. They didn't just draw something that looked like it could be a hieroglyphic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's really kind of a big thing.
And the Smithsonian checked to make sure.
Yes, exactly.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it too. There's a replica of a 10th century quadrant, which is a device used for navigation and astronomy in the Islamic scene. The Bible inspected by Johann Gutenberg.
Oh, Johann.
I was like, that's not right. I thought it just, okay. Gutenberg in the Renaissance scene is an exact copy of the one.
Cool.
Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff like that where you see something that would be like an artifact now, and it's an exact replica of what they're saying that it is.
It's so amazing that it's so like museum like, and I know that people will sometimes criticize the ride for being boring for kids. And it
I liked it as a
probably
kid.
I liked it as a kid too, and it probably is because of the fact that it's so like museum-esque with its like exact recreations and stuff.
I
But
don't
there's
know.
just something so endearing to me about the fact that they are like creating these large scale replicas with historians and exact details. That's what I want,
Yeah.
you know.
I I don't know. I haven't heard people complain about it being boring for kids. Have you heard that?
I've heard it from people in the park. I've heard it in in line for Spaceship Earth. We had this family in front of us, and this is not the only family I've heard say this, but they were they were talking about how this was like the AC kind of nap through it ride because nothing happens. It's just in the dark, which like yeah.
Isn't true at all. You're going through a ton of different scenes.
No, yeah, stuff definitely, obviously stuff happens, but
Yeah.
in their minds, this is not Guardians of the Galaxy, so this is sleeping time.
I would only agree with that if like you're a local and you go all the time and you've kind of got it memorized.
I think
Other than that, I think that it would be very interesting. I think. Okay, maybe I don't know.
I guess it depends on the person. I love
Yeah.
Spaceship Earth.
Yeah. It depends on how much YouTube this kid's watching.
Sure.
Okay.
Unless you're watching the Neverland Navigation Co. YouTube channel.
And then you're right. We're so entertaining that.
Keep watching.
Okay, your turn.
Nope.
I was gonna guess Horizons. Living with the Land.
That's an excellent guess. Would you like to know if you're right?
Yeah?
You'll have to wait till next week because we're out of time.
What?
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on Spaceship Earth.
It was grand and miraculous.
All right.
It was deluxe sized. We had a lot to say.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
we
honestly,
also went on a couple tangents about the different versions because there's a lot of history in there.
There is a lot of history in there, and honestly, there's more to be said.
I was gonna say, I feel like we didn't even. I feel like there's more we could say about Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk about the lights. Like them adding the lights is like my favorite thing that they've done to anything in a long time. Like
the lights on the outside.
Yes.
There's such an improvement.
When they put those on for the 50th anniversary, I was like, oh my gosh, if you take these away from me in 18 months or whatever, I'm going to cry. But they didn't.
I'm so glad.
They're not going to.
No.
They're a permanent edition gift that we got for the 50th, and like I couldn't be happier.
It'll help pilots see it. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to see Spaceship Earth all lit up. And if you like,
it makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's like seriously one of those things that I think lights, glitter in the pavement, fiber optics.
Yeah.
That's all EPCOT.
Yeah.
To me, so it all works out.
And if you guys followed us on Instagram, or if you follow us on Instagram, I posted something a bit ago where we went to EPCOT and like there were 2 strips of lights that were out facing World Showcase, and it looked like Spaceship Earth was sleeping, like it was like an emoji. It was so weird that those lights went out like in that exact pattern.
That is pretty strange.
But that like never happens. So I'm always really impressed with how it looks and how it makes me feel when I see it.
Yeah. I love those lights.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to be about it for the Spaceship Earth episode, as this turned out being. If you guys would like to see the Spaceship Earth episode in video form, you can check out our YouTube channel at Neverland Navigation Co. Yeah, if you're not here already. And if you are here already, then hey, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
If you're listening on an audio platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Pandora, we would love it if you would subscribe to the show and leave us a review letting us know if you've enjoyed.
Yeah, and if you want to follow us on social media, we're on Instagram at Neverland Navco. Where else? Did you say the Facebook is something different?
No, the Facebook is Neverland Navigation Co. And the TikTok is also Neverland Navco.
It's always some variation of one of those.
You guys know how it is.
You know.
You know what it's like these days.
Yeah. And on Etsy, it's Neverland Navigation. If you want a custom t-shirt, just send us a message.
Yeah, if you're going on an EPCOT trip sometime soon.
Yeah.
Need a
Figment
squad shirts.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's the place to get them. All right.
All right.
We'll see what I'm doing next week. So stay tuned. And until then, we'll see you on our next adventure.
Bye.